bat, right off the dome. Do y'all like social media? Do you enjoy it? Do you like spending time on social media?
Yes.
Yeah. Can you
A little
elaborate on
too
that?
much.
Ooh, interesting. I thought the answer was going to be a hard no.
Well, I guess it depends on what part of social media you're talking about.
True, 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 true. I meant more of a blanket statement because I feel like for me, it's like a massive time sink when I'm doing it right, and I enjoy it when I'm doing it right. But then all of a sudden, like everything shifts, and I hate it, and I'm like, what am I doing with my life? I just need to get back to my business.
Yeah, I would say yes and no on that.
Yeah,
I like being able to be connected with people and like share things with them and see what they're sharing, but like the negative parts of it just are draining and suck the life out of me, and
for sure.
I have to turn it off, frequently and get away from it.
Do either of you guys have like a policy for that? Do you have like kind of like social media work hours? Do you have plans that allow you for that downtime?
I do try to schedule it. I'm not the greatest at scheduling. It's one thing
Yeah.
that I'm working on, but I do try to schedule blocks of like, this is when I'm going to do stuff on Instagram. This is when I'm going to do Pinterest
Mhm.
stuff. I do try to schedule it so it's not like so mundane and so overwhelming, but yeah, uh, I just ignore Facebook most of the time.
Just as a general platform.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I'm really bad at doing a schedule because I'm really spontaneous, and um, my schedule is like different from day to day. But in my head, I try to keep like a plan. Like I know in the morning is when I do my social media stuff, and then I try not to look at it for the rest of the day, and then maybe like an hour before I go to bed, I go back on it again. Um, but it just depends on the day and what's going on that day.
Yeah, that's interesting. I feel like I go through gluts where like all I want to do is focus on it and really like build it. It's for me, it's especially intoxicating when building something new. So the photo club account is like inappropriately always up. Like I'm just like constantly like commenting on, sharing things, like seeing what people are posting and stuff like that. And then I I think it's interesting to hear both of you say that you have a schedule but you're bad at it. And I wonder if that's just like the entrepreneur mindset or like the creative photographer mindset. Because I'm the same way. Like I feel like every 6 to 8 months, I'm like, Brooke, we need to like completely rework everything, and we need to like start our mornings with this and end our nights with this, and then we do it for like 3 or 4 days, and then like, oh no, everything broke, and it's just fine. Like we're still, I mean, minus quarantine and minus all of that stuff, like we're doing great. It doesn't really seem to be impacting things. I mean, yeah, I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole.
No, I agree definitely. I feel like, I'll get into like a specific schedule and then it's like a week or so and then I'm like, meh, something happens and it just
Yeah.
throws it off completely. It's probably
So
because we just like work at home, 'cause it's
yeah,
like we're not as structured as like, if you're leaving for an office and have something mundane to do every day
for
specifically.
sure.
I don't know.
I have long thought that that might be a really valuable addition to a stay-at-home, work-at-home creative's life to have like, and I have a studio. I don't go to it. I use it mainly for print sales and rain out dates. But um, I have I've been tempted multiple times to keep that and also get a subscription to like a co-working space and just keep like a Monday through Friday routine going. But then our busy season shows up and I'm like, this is worthless for us. I don't know. Do you find when you do enact these like more rigid structures that you're more efficient or that you get more stuff done? Either of
Yes.
you guys?
Um, no.
Interesting. Why would you
No,
say no?
because like I've tried to do time blocking before where I use like my Google Calendar to block out time frames for certain tasks, and it'll last for maybe like 3 days, but things around my house are like so unpredictable. My husband's job is like really, he's like a robot programmer, and he's always getting sent out of town or like having to work out of town, or he's home, and I can't like plan anything because everything kind of depends on his schedule. And then plus our daughter and like what her schedule is, and it's always changing like day to day. And so I can never like plan on, from this time to this time I'm going to do this. The only thing I have managed to do is in the last like 6 months I've got like my morning routine that is like 2 to 3 hours that I know like exactly what I'm doing in the morning, and that really helped me a lot. I can focus better and I can be more efficient because of that. But the rest of the day is like whatever happens happens. I just try to get stuff done. I have a
That's
to-do
interesting.
like 10 pages long.
Oh man. My problem is I write my to-do list and I get through a third of it, and then I'm like, I should start a new to-do list, and I like throw that one out and start over. So mine is not 10 pages long, but I have like 10 sketchbooks with like abandoned to-do lists. I'll bet if I go back to the first one, there's something like really pressing in there that's like, you need to, I don't know, go to the doctor or something. I don't know, something really like gravely important. But that's an interesting discussion about mornings, because I know we talked about that with Josh Hartman, and he has like a really I don't want to put words in his mouth and call it regimented, but as like a yogi, juggler, unicyclist, he's got like this really stringent, or again I keep coming back to that word. He has a morning routine that he really sticks to, and it's like yoga, meditation, and then I think polar opposite, going right into social media or something like that. And I try. It's even harder with the new baby here, but it is when I do find when I get into that routine, it's helpful. But I think one of the biggest luxuries as like work at home creatives that we have is that we get to like define a routine, and then when it breaks, it's fine. It kind of has to be, but it's just kind of allowed to be. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we're getting a little off topic on social media. Next question, Facebook or Instagram? I know the answer is obviously like both, because you have to use both and you like they're different channels, but I'm like, are you drawn to one over the other? Do you find that you're getting more value out of one over the other?
Yeah, Instagram for sure for me. Um,
Interesting.
I spent like a couple years ago, I spent like almost the entire year working on my Instagram, and it was awful. Like I spent so much time. I probably spent an hour every day working on it, and
Yeah.
um, it paid off though, because I book weddings from Instagram now, and probably like 40% of my business comes from Instagram. So
Interesting.
I wouldn't say like 50%, but maybe like 30 to 40%. But I do get a lot of inquiries from Instagram. And what was the question again?
Which
Oh
platform
yeah,
do you
which
prefer
do I
and why?
prefer? Yeah, okay. So Instagram I feel like is more like me being able to curate my work and show like the absolute best of what I do. And since I'm kind of like have like an artist mentality, it like is more fun for me to work with Instagram than Facebook, because Facebook is more like sharing stories and news and things like that.
Yeah.
It's more like just I have to do that, but Instagram's more fun for me because it's more like putting my work out there for people to see and curating the feed, and I don't know, I can be more creative with it, I think.
Yeah. What about you, Sydney?
So for me, definitely Instagram, but I mean, I guess it kind of depends on like what part of Facebook. Like, because what I have is like my Instagram posts are connected to my Facebook, so I don't have to like update my Facebook all the time. But
Mhm.
with Facebook, I post my blog posts, which are like really
Oh
important.
yeah.
So, but also like Facebook ads are pretty great.
Mhm.
So it kind of depends. I mean, I don't like being on Facebook, but like if I just stick to like strictly like business things, then Facebook is fine. But I
For
definitely
sure.
prefer Instagram. It's not negative, and
Yeah.
I think that's for me is like a big thing is like I'd rather stick with social media that's more positive than negative, especially
Mhm.
like from a business standpoint too.
It also doesn't hurt that Instagram is uniquely designed for us. It is so image heavy. It is so unlike Flickr back in the day, or even Facebook now. You don't see people dumping like 40 photos at a time. Like there is a unique value on an individual photo, which I don't think that any other platform really does as well, or ever really like has done as well. Um, and so I know the carousel post exists. I know people do those things where they break their grid up into like one big gigantic photo. But I have found personally that there is something really valuable from a business standpoint of like defining this one photo is valuable. Pay attention to, like, stop, look at this one photo. I mean, people are still just scrolling through, of course, but
Right.
like this one, like any individual photo can be like a valuable commodity. And I don't think Facebook does that I don't think Facebook does really anything super well. It's such a chaotic mess of features and subsets and groups and pages and live streams that don't work.
Pretty much.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so we do a bit of both. I keep forgetting to answer my own question because this is a panel. We do obviously both. For years, our Facebook was like 3 or 4 times bigger than our Instagram, and then our Instagram has caught up, but I haven't really talked about this on here. We had a social media attack like 2 years ago. I was a jerk. Somebody DM'd me and said, "Would you like to have 1,000 followers a day? Click on this link." And I went to their account and noticed that the account was like a year old. And I did the math of like, your account is this old. That's this many days. You should have like 250,000 followers. Maybe you should work on your account first. They didn't respond, but a different account immediately responded to me and said, "If you buy followers, your account can get banned." And I woke up the next day with like 5,000 new followers. So, not 5,000, maybe it was like 1,200. So we've been like, not blacklisted by any stretch, but we've definitely, our traffic like really was hurt from that. And so we've had to like really balance our time between Instagram and Facebook. And I think we're finally like breaking past the damage on Instagram. But it's a weird world when somebody can just like offer you a kind of a sleazy service, and then the retaliation is to give it to you. They gave me the thing that they were offering as a punishment for being a jerk. Uh, but yeah, so I know that we kind of tend to split the voice between Instagram and Facebook. As I said, Instagram is very like single image heavy. Our Facebook tends to be some similar thing where we do like blog posts, or that's where we'll like share like interesting things that have happened, or stories and stuff like that. I don't tend to do a lot of like news articles and stuff like that. I tend to do mostly just our work. But I feel like I can let my Facebook languish a little bit longer than my Instagram before I feel like I have to come back to it. Do you guys feel similarly?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Instagram, I feel like necessitates like daily operation to really like see any sort of growth. And I feel like Facebook, if I forget about it for like 6 months, my people are still there.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
a terrible.
Instagram is very fast, daily, at least, a few times a week. And,
Mhm.
you can do like once or twice a week, if that, on Facebook or
Yeah,
less, and nobody cares.
for sure. Are you guys taking advantage fully of story and your feed on Instagram? Or are you doing both pretty aggressively?
Yes.
I don't do stories as much as I should.
Yeah. Is that a decision, or is that just like, is it too much work?
That's me being overwhelmed.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
like picking my priorities, and that's not one of my priorities right now. So
I do feel that when I have put energy into my story, if I automate my feed and put my energy into my story, I feel like my numbers go up on my feed. Um, which I think Instagram just wants you to constantly use all of their features. And I think they want you to use the live stream, but I'm just not going to live stream for my photo account. Like, I just don't imagine, I can't imagine finding a good use for that. But I imagine if you were to, I'm sure your feed numbers would go up. They'd be like, good job, you're doing what we want you to do, because they're in charge of us.
Yep.
Yep. Do y'all tweet?
No.
No, but I use the preview app to do my Instagram posts, and
Yeah.
then I have an app called If This Then That, which like, you know, takes when I post something on Instagram, it automatically takes it and posts it to Twitter.
Cool.
Also my Facebook page, also my wait, I don't know if I'm still using LinkedIn. That and then my Pinterest.
Oh man, I literally wrote down some notes on things to talk about, and I was thinking about different social platforms, and I totally forgot that LinkedIn was a thing. That does not bode well for LinkedIn. Oops. Sorry, LinkedIn.
It's not a platform for creatives. Like, let's be real, unless we are like business people, you know, and if that's a market that you want to tap into, definitely getting on LinkedIn and getting those different like connections. But I mean, I just recently updated mine from high school. So
Oh
in
wow.
10 years. So yeah.
I
Yeah,
just realized that. Sorry,
go
go ahead, Andrew.
Oh, I was gonna say, I think it's a good idea to like pick one platform that you really like that is good for your market, and like go all in and just kind of forget about the rest for a while. Give
I
it like
agree.
6 months. Yeah.
Definitely.
For sure. And I would argue that those automators that like plaster one over here can be damaging in the not in the long run. In the short term, I don't think they're really valuable, because people will, if they really want your content on Instagram, they'll go to Instagram. I'm not saying don't do it. I'm not saying don't do it, because I have done it in the past, specifically from Instagram to Twitter. But I think that if you're going to completely abandon an account, either like shut it down or just do something like that where you have it going over there. I intentionally either I closed down or just wiped out all of the content on my Pinterest account a couple years ago, because I just tried it and it did not vibe with me. So I'm just like not going to sit there and dig in on my Pinterest account when it doesn't fit me, right? Like I don't think my clients are there. I don't think my people are there, which I think is another really important thing we should dig in on. Like you said, pick a social platform, but part of that is like, where are the people that you want to communicate with? And depending on if you're doing families or if you're doing seniors or if you're doing weddings or corporate work, all of that is going to be very different. Do you guys think that way?
Yep.
Definitely. Like, you know, and that's one reason why that I'm not on Twitter, you know, it's because like my audience is definitely not there. Like, I'm not looking for, you know, social media people. I'm not looking for influencers. You know, yeah, some of them get married, but you know, it's not where my clientele are.
Right.
So, you know, I focus more on Instagram, you know, Facebook and Pinterest are like my big three. And then going from there.
How do you use Pinterest?
So I use Tailwind and it like automatically does it. I just set it up and it goes from my blog post. So again,
Whoa.
blogging is very important for me. So like I have blog posts about like, you know, like wedding tips and things like that. So then that also boosts my SEO because Pinterest is pretty much like a mini Google, just in a different format.
Yeah.
So for me having that, so like if it's like 10 tips for like wedding photos or something like that, you know, somebody clicks on that, they go to my website.
Right.
Um,
Do you see good
but
traffic from that?
yes.
Interesting. What you're saying is I should probably be playing with Pinterest again, even though I
Yeah.
don't like it.
Yes.
I feel like we could have an entire conversation about, so Negley, I think I pronounced that correctly. I was asking about SEO down in the chat, and not specifically to bring it into this conversation, but to bring it into let's do one of these specifically on SEO, and it's something that I am it's on my mind. I legit think we could have like an entire discussion about Pinterest and blogging, and I feel like those are so joined, and I feel like it's such a value. I mean, I have a couple blog posts that are where I get like half of my traffic from, and I don't even blog well enough. I don't blog enough, but
Oh
blog
yeah, I
more.
could go, for days talking about like the different types of like blogs that I've done and like how I've incorporated that into my wedding workflow and like all sorts of stuff. Like it's amazing what just writing a quick informational blog post can do and where you can put it in your business.
For sure. Well, I wrote this down as something to bring back up because I think we should do like a blog post roundtable at some point because I think that would be really interesting. So I have some people for SEO in mind, but if anybody knows anybody who's like a super good like SEO expert, I have had a couple people suggest a specific account to me, but apparently they like charge for stuff like this. So I get that. I totally understand why that would be a thing, but we're not at a point where I can like drop $1,000 on having somebody talk to us for an hour. But if you know people, let me know.
Yeah.
Good.
So SEO, does it matter like what type of SEO? Because my sister-in-law does marketing for certain people and she talks about SEO all the time. Like I don't understand what she's saying, but like that's a big part of her job.
Yeah. So I mean, SEO is SEO. I mean, all it is to say, how do I take the content that is on my website and make it show up before the content on your website? So if she'd be interested in talking with us, you can
reach out.
if you want to send me a message with their contact information or like a Facebook account or something like that, so we can reach out. Anytime you have somebody that you think we should interview, if I can get like a warm introduction as opposed to just like going to their public account and being like, hello, stranger, can I come talk to you with a bunch of people? I have them all here. Would you like to talk? I'm at your front door. Would you like to talk for an hour? Anytime I can have like a warm introduction is definitely more valuable. Awesome. So here's a question that I feel like for a minute was like super hotly contested. Do you have a philosophy or plan or strategy on what % of the work you produce gets shared?
Not really.
Yeah. You don't have to.
I don't think it's like a planned thing, but I think I've heard other people mention like the top 1%, and I can't say that it is the top 1% for me, but I do think it's important to like show your best work.
Yeah.
So like when you look at somebody's Instagram account that just totally blows you away, you can kind of think to yourself, okay, this is just like the top 1 to 5% of this person's work. Like if you see one picture from a session or a wedding and you're like, oh my gosh, this is so amazing, you don't even see the other 700 pictures they took. So
Oh, for sure.
yeah.
And so I guess this question is twofold. I think you're interpreting it in a way that is also fascinating and very, very appropriate to the discussion. Something that comes up frequently in like senior family kind of maternity circles is, should I post every client that comes through my door? And the discussion tends to those that would say you should post everything, everybody, their mindset is to say, everybody knows that I'm posting all of these sessions, and when theirs is missed, they feel left out, or they feel that their work wasn't good enough, or that I don't value that work. For context, I don't do that. I intentionally don't post everybody. I also kind of subscribe to that like top 1% of my work mentality. My social platform is for me. I get to decide what I want. And I think maybe for weddings specifically, it's a little bit different because you don't have the raw volume of sessions where you're like out shooting 3 or 4 a week, and you're like, well, that one was great, but it's not in the top 1%, so I'm just going to kind of skip it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I don't know about that. I've got a lot of volume. I don't know, because I'm doing sessions besides weddings too.
For sure. I didn't mean to imply otherwise.
Yeah, but like I think that like what you put out there is it's advertising for you. So, you know, you want people to see your best work because it's what people are going to see, and it's like first impressions. So
For sure. There's also the mentality of like you want to be showing what you're shooting, or sorry, you want to be showing what you want to be shooting. So if you're out there, you know, shooting beautiful things, but then you want to angle it this direction, you can just, hey, let's stop this thing for a second. We're going to shoot one for me, and then just post that one. That's kind of like the shorthand version of like how you can kind of bend your work towards the direction you want it to go.
yes.
Definitely. So my take on it is like definitely like I don't share like the best of the best from all my weddings
Yeah.
because like what I share is I share everything. Because like I know there are photographers out there that don't share like reception photos and things like that at their wedding. So for me, I'm sharing, you know, reception, ceremony, portraits, you know, I'm sharing the whole entire wedding day because I want my couples to see, hey, this is going to turn out okay. Like you're not going to have like somebody who isn't good with like reception lighting and things like that. And I like to show off like the fun things that I do with like dramatic portraits. So I mean, like that's my take on it. I mean, yeah, I don't share like every single wedding, you know, every single portrait session I do, but I definitely like to showcase like a variety of work, which is why my Instagram isn't like as tailored.
Right.
But that's the weddings that I photograph. I photograph a lot of like darker venues and things like that, which I don't mind. I like doing lighting. I have a lot of fun with it.
Cool. Yeah, I know. Go ahead. Sorry.
Well, I'm like the total opposite. I hate lighting. So, I mean, like bringing artificial lighting, I guess. I love natural light and I like carrying the least amount of equipment as possible. So, but I love like doing the pictures of couples. So that's what I market is my pictures of couples. So when people look at my Instagram, you're just seeing pictures of couples and like landscapes. So people know when they hire me that I don't like do fancy lighting and like tricks with things like flashes and things. I have flashes, but I just use them like bare minimum.
Yeah. We're definitely a little bit aligned there. I mean, I have lighting here. I know how to use lighting. I got my start. I don't know if I've talked about this. One of my first photo gigs was an organic food market out of Israel would send me work, would send me like products every week, and I would photograph them in this room with lighting. And so like I cut my teeth on lighting stuff. But I'm in the same boat where I showcase a lot of all natural light. I don't really show anything with flash or strobe or LED lights. Oh, I mean maybe some like weird little things with, you know, these little guys just for fun. But yeah, our work is very, very portrait heavy, and so we kind of showcase the work that we want to be shooting, want to be known for. I don't know. Occasionally I will post some little details from weddings, but it'll often show up as like a carousel post of like a discussion on details or something like that. But yeah, we're very much portrait heavy, for better and for worse. Okay, so Andrea kind of mentioned this as like a 40%, but can you guys talk about the percentage of your work that you think comes from social media versus other forms?
As far as like bookings go and
Yeah,
like things like
yeah.
that, I would say somewhere between 40 and 60%.
Right. I mean, it's hard to tell, right? Because so many of your clients would possibly be inquiring on your website and have spent a lot of time digging through social media to find you. But so you think that 40 to 60%, you said?
Oh yeah.
Interesting. Facebook or Instagram or both?
A mixture of both.
Gotcha. Andrea?
I get a lot of inquiries from Instagram and Facebook, but they don't convert to actual clients as much. So I would say probably like 60 to 70% of my inquiries come from Instagram or Facebook. But since they usually like haven't actually looked at my website, I usually direct them to my website, and then they look at it and they're like, oh, like she costs too much money, or she isn't, the style we're looking for. So
We all just heard you explode. Did everybody else hear that? Your microphone just like for like half a second. I heard you. I understood what you said. But I'm in the same category. Like I'm very curated on, like, my website is like an iceberg. You'll see like a portion of it on the surface, and you'll dig through it and you'll find everything that's there publicly. But I've got a ton of little hidden kind of like off the record pages that are booking pages and landing pages that people I kind of like guide people through the story that I want them to see on my site, or as they interacting with my brand. So I would say that 60 to 40% of my people are finding me by discovering us through social media. But I would say the rest of them, but I would say at least like 70%, maybe even 80% of my actual leads come through my website, even if I'm saying like, that sounds great, go here, fill out this form, and then we'll get back to you once we see that. Because I want them to actually like walk through the rough pricing. I want them to walk through like our philosophy. I want them to see those things before they just go, instead of just going like, ooh, pretty pictures, can I have?
Right. Yeah, definitely having a good landing page like on your, Facebook, on your Instagram, wherever, like having a great landing page of like having the information there, at least enough that, they'll contact you, through your website. So you can really get that process rolling is definitely like, has been like a huge thing for me. Because instead of like, because I know some people, it's just like, oh, it just goes to your website. Well, then they get, people get distracted. So it's just like having it, like you said, having it specifically the way that you want it to have, the way you want them to go through your process, I think is definitely like kind of funnels them a little bit more. And also like the biggest thing for me, like with getting people to like actually inquire with me from social media is just having like, it's just like the silliest thing. Like I have a wedding guide that I made, that just, it's what I curated to talk about my process, but I have it written like in my Instagram as like, fill out this form for a free guide. Well, that's my guide. So
that's awesome. And is that successful?
Yes, definitely.
Cool. I love that. Yeah, so I was responding to a message in the chat. I was going to say something. Oh yeah, really important, I think, is this discussion of not just social media. So we're here to discuss social media and habits and how to use these things. But I also think that if we only speak on social platforms, we're like missing the entire boat, because these are all advertising tools to get people to your website. For me, at least, this is how I operate. I like to. It was once described to me as thinking of your website as building your castle. Like you need to like build your moat, you need to build your walls, and you need like to build your like portcullis. That's the metal thing that comes down that doesn't let people in when you don't want, in front of the drawbridge. That's a fun word. So you want to build all these parts and pieces so that not only are people coming in the right direction, but if Facebook falls apart, they're probably not going to. If Facebook falls apart, if Instagram crumbles, or they change the algorithm in a way that makes people unable to find you, that you are 100% fine. That that means that like next week, if a new version of Instagram 2 popped up and you had to like reset your channel like your funnel to get people to your website, as long as you can build a following there, you can get people to the website and everything is exactly the same. Your portfolio looks the same. Your philosophy looks the same. People are going to see you and go, oh, that's just that person I followed on the other channel. So I think really focusing on social media is valuable, but you can't lose sight of the fact that you are making content for Mark Zuckerberg. They are making money off of your work. And if you are only doing that, you're losing. Like you're completely losing.
Yeah, definitely. Agreed? Like I know with Instagram, like there's been a few times that Instagram's just been completely down. Like, social media is a great tool, but just focusing on it itself. And I think that's why, like, going back to SEO, the reason why SEO and having like a solid website is so important, because then that backs up your credibility on social media.
For sure. Oh yeah. I mean, if I see somebody that has, and this is not a judgment, it's a little bit of a judgment, but I don't mean it to sound like that. If I see somebody that has like a killer Instagram and doesn't have a website, I'm a little confused, right? Like I want to know.
Disagree.
Yeah, like there are tons of people that have great business models that do not dedicate their time to a website, but it scares me for them. Just absolutely scares me for them. And it does. I mean, if you're just getting started, you don't have to invest thousands of dollars in a new website. I mean, I think my theme costs like $250, and I think I got it on sale for like $125 or something like that. But there are tons of great free themes out there for WordPress, which is completely free. Squarespace is how much a month?
16 on their, I think their low end is 16 a month.
Yeah. So that's not dirt cheap, but that's just a couple cups of coffee, and you wouldn't, it's completely completely self-hosted. It's not that hard to start a website these days. Yeah, I lost my train of thought. There was something else we were talking about. Did I interrupt us, or were we moving on? Help.
We were talking about social media, remember?
Oh yeah. What is this thing? What is this computer thing? What are we doing here? Hello? Andrea, did you want to say anything about what we're talking about?
No, I agree with all of it. Your
Cool.
website, you have like 100% control over. You don't have really any control over, well, you do have a little control, but like you said, if something happens with the algorithm, or if your account gets hacked and everything gets wiped out, you can't rely on Facebook or Instagram or any social media really, where your
Agreed.
website, you do have 100% control over that.
I just like the idea of not trusting major corporations to feed my family.
Pretty much. That's the way I look at it too.
For sure. Okay. Favorite social platform, even if it's dead.
MySpace.
Yeah? Oh man. Did you ever get on MySpace when it was rebooted like 3 or 4 years ago?
Yeah, it was the worst.
It was awesome. It was so broken. I set a background image for it, and instead of that, it just like tiled my face across my entire page. It was amazing.
Also, Negley, yes, I love TikTok as well.
Oh, yes. Again, I have said this on here before. If somebody can figure out how to make TikTok interesting, and not just the like, hi, I walked up to a random very pretty person on the street. Watch me do a photo shoot. That's the thing that I've seen happen a lot on TikTok, and that's very successful. But I can't figure out how it would be valuable for me. I'm tempted to say that Photo Club might do well on TikTok with like some of the stuff we do, but I don't know. If you've got ideas, hit me. I love it. I watch it every night before bed. That's like my wind down as I watch people do cool dance moves. I love it. Andrew, you got any favorite social platforms?
Okay, well, Instagram is my favorite. I love looking through Instagram.
Yeah.
I'm just amused by it all the time, because what comes up in my feed is like hilarious, because I'm into some really weird stuff. So
Oh,
That's
man.
me with my TikTok. It's pretty entertaining.
Oh, for sure. Andrea, now I want to see your feed. I'm very concerned and confused, but very interested.
as you should be.
Good. So mine, my two favorites. I was a really big proponent of Google Plus. I really wanted it to defeat Facebook, if only because really early on their photo compression algorithms were like light years better, and my photos just looked better there. And it was a hard reset when Facebook was already like well established. I was like, okay, Facebook's a bigger company. I'm gonna dig in on this, and I can maybe get some traction, get some followers here. And I did okay. And then nobody followed me. It was all Facebook, and Google Plus is now not a thing. And the other one I miss endlessly, I miss this every single day, is Vine. I just miss it. It was not for me. I'm not a comedian. I'm not that funny. But yeah, RIP Vine. RIP Vine 2 even. Vine 2 was teased and never happened. TikTok is good, but I think the longer format is not as funny. I think the 1 minute TikToks are not nearly as funny as the 7-second Vines. They were some really intense creativity kind of compressed into 7 seconds there.
Yeah, I think with me, with MySpace, a lot of it, and it's like, 'cause I thank MySpace for like my love of coding, because that's how I got a lot of the customization on my website, is because I learned how to use like all the crazy like skins and like all this crazy stuff, you know, back in the day in MySpace. But like, you know, Facebook, it's just, you know, boring. So why is Facebook still around?
Why does Facebook not allow me to have glitter trails on my mouse cursor when I'm on
Right.
there?
Or like funny stars in the background. And
Yeah.
why can't I have a top 8?
Why can't I have like Limp Bizkit blasting every time somebody shows up on my profile?
Right.
Come on. Yeah, I don't know. I really like the clean aesthetic. I really I understand, and I have a similar story with some early web stuff. Like I know enough to code WordPress because of just messing around with some early web pages. I don't know. I'm a big fan of the clean aesthetic, but I understand why somebody would want to. I don't know. Maybe now that I have a better aesthetic, I could design it a little better. I don't know.
Well, that's my thought. It's just like Facebook hasn't changed in how many years? It's kind of boring. Like I love the clean aesthetic, don't get me wrong, but it's just
Yeah.
like I'd like to get rid of the blue. Like,
just change that color. There is a cool way in Facebook Messenger to change the color of each chat.
yes.
And there are some like super fun like neon gradient ones, and I am a big fan of those.
Yes, that's
But that's
Messenger is like the best part of Facebook.
Oh yeah, I mean honestly, and that's an interesting segue, because I do think that, and we've talked about this a little bit in terms of like reaching out to photographers that you're inspired by or that you think are incredible. The value in Messenger, but also I wish a new platform would come out. I agree. I have watched like 2 or 3 rise and fall, and like Vero and Google Plus, Vine, and I think Instagram and Facebook are too big. I mean
Yeah.
both in that I think it's inappropriate how big they are, but I also think that if anything tried to rival it right now, it would be crushed immediately.
Yeah, there's definitely been a ton of that have tried, but like there was Ello, and then
yeah, forgot about that one. We all jump for like 3 days, and then
right.
the famous people get like 50K right away, and the rest of us are sitting here like, I've got 4 followers, but
Like, woo.
cool, yay. I was saying something and I got distracted by the chat. It's fine. It's very important. MySpace teaching us to code everything at age 12. I agree. Okay. The next couple questions are pulled directly. Andrew, did you want to say anything on that? I don't remember if I don't want to cut you off.
I don't remember if I did or not.
Doesn't matter. We're just hanging.
Yes, I think you
okay.
did.
Yeah,
Cool.
I think I did too.
I was saying something, and then the second thing I thought was more interesting, so I just stopped a sentence and just continued. Welcome to my brain. So the next few of these are pulled directly from the community questions. First one, I think there's a pretty clear answer for. Well, actually, I should say, I feel like the ones we were going through before were very much like highfalutin, very well thought out questions, and these are more like process heavy. Like, how do I social media? Is there a best time to post?
Oh, that's kind of a hard one. And honestly, your best bet, at least for me, and when I've figured out when to post, is just looking at your analytics.
Yep.
Like on your Instagram, if you have a business page, you can look at your analytics and see when people are interacting the most. For me, I usually post depending on, like my life and what's going on. For me, like 9 a.m., like 8 to 9 a.m. is like a great time because people are awake. People are, especially now on social media because nobody's working. But yeah, it's just really looking into your analytics and seeing like when people are interacting with your posts and kind of going off of that.
Yep. That's what I do.
I just asked in the group. So go ahead.
Mine is like between 11 and 12 in the morning and like 8 to 9 o'clock at night.
Interesting.
Pretty even frequently. So I kind of switch back and forth between those times. But the app that I use, Preview, that I mentioned, it's not the only one. There's like a bunch of different ones you could get to manage your posting on Instagram. That has some really good tools inside it to show you who's looking at your account and what time they're looking at it, where they are,
Interesting.
like in the country or out of the country or whatever.
Is it more in depth than the integrated Instagram ones?
Yes.
Interesting. Okay. Because I'm experimenting with, or I was experimenting with like 5 different planning apps or automation apps like last week. And I settled on Photo Club is running through Buffer right now because it's really good at reposting. So I can just go on the Instagram app, copy a link, and open Buffer, and it goes, hey, you have an Instagram link in your clipboard. Would you like to post it? And it grabs the photo, grabs the account name so I can tag people in them. And then I'm experimenting right now with Planoly for AKP. And I looked at Preview, and I didn't like that it didn't have a free web app. You had to pay for that separately. And so I didn't really get to see the analytics that much, but it looked to be fairly similar to the Instagram ones. One thing that I find fascinating is by running multiple accounts that are business accounts, the AKP and the Photo Club one, I see, the preview app is free, but there's a bunch with all of these. There's usually a free tier and then a paid tier. I'm experimenting with the $7, $4 a month on Planoly. I think it's $7. And then I'm trying to stay to the free tier on Buffer for Photo Club. And they all tend to have some sort of like paid tier and a free tier. But it's fascinating to see it's fascinating to see the analytics on 2 separate accounts, whereas whereas AKP, I have like very steep dips and peaks on when my base is attentive. The Photo Club one is like across the board, like every single day, like noon to 9. Like it's the exact same engagement every single day, and it's weird. It's like, I don't know if it's just like not picking it up correctly, but it is fascinating to see that different types of accounts, whereas like my photography account is marketed towards my clients. Photo Club is designed to be reached by photographers. I wonder if photographers are just on more regularly or something like that.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, and it's an interesting insight to remind us that your social platform should be designed to market or to be targeting towards specifically the people that you want to see. And Photo Club versus AKP is a very interesting kind of take on that. HoneyBook to be extremely confusing. Community features free, and he talks about it a little in one of our interviews. Yep. Okay. What is your approach to hashtags? That is a very broad topic. How can we break that down? I know Andrea and I have been working on a kind of like a guide to social media. So we're gonna be putting together like a marketplace on the Photo Club page that will have some of the things that people have offered here for sale. And so one of the ones that we're gonna be working on is like a hashtag guide, Instagram guide kind of thing. And so we have been digging into that a little bit. I know I've been doing some hashtag research on how to find active but not overwhelmingly large hashtags. So I'm trying to figure out like what's the best thing to talk about here as a group. We could talk about first post versus comment. We could talk about how many, handwriting versus copying and pasting. Does anybody have a specific thing they want to dig in on?
I don't know. There's so many different ways we can go with hashtags.
I know it's such a broad topic. I mean, the answer could be that it's maybe too broad for here, or I could just pick. Let's say, how many hashtags do you use on a post?
Like 10 to 12 at most.
Okay, so you're obviously like handwriting them, or are you copying and pasting?
So mine just autofill because they're the ones that I've used before.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, handwriting them.
Gotcha. Andrea, what about you?
Yeah, I handwrite them because I heard from someone, I don't know if it was you, that said that if you copy and paste them,
Mm-hmm.
Instagram knows it and will
Yep.
like penalize you for it. So I handwrite them now, and not using the same hashtags for each post. I change it up for each post so that it's different every time.
Yeah. I probably was the one that told you that, and I heard it from a Northern Michigan based kind of let me help you grow your Instagram account. And the evidence is out on it still. I can't say conclusively that it's true, and I don't think it would be true for planning apps, for automation apps, because now Instagram does have an API for that, which is an application program interface, which means that if you were to apply to create one of these planning apps, you can go to Instagram directly and say, can we integrate with your website? And that means that they do believe that it is okay for us as professionals to be posting automatically. So I can't imagine they would penalize you for using hashtags in there, and that you would have to like automate these things, and then every single time go in there and then like, let me think of some hashtags that are appropriate for this post. I can't imagine they would be penalizing people for that. That wouldn't make sense.
It's kind of like the conversation between like having your hashtags in your description or in a comment.
Yep.
You know,
There's
does it
no answer.
really matter?
Yeah, whatever works.
It does.
Yeah.
Honestly, though, it does matter if you're seeing negative impacts.
Right.
If you're trying one thing and you're trying it consistently, and you're finding that you're shadow banned, or that your reach goes dramatically down, that you're seeing your likes cut in half, it might be one of these things. It might be first comment versus in the caption. It might be using too many hashtags. Even though you're allowed 30, I don't think they want you to use 30 anymore. I think you're yeah, go ahead, Shauna.
I was just gonna say, professional photographers in Michigan did a Zoom meeting about this.
Yeah.
And they said that if you go over 15, they kind of like banned your post, not really banned it, but they kind of let it go to the wayside.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And the post hashtags have to be specific. It can't be just random, and you can't copy and paste them. You have to put them in every single time for them
Yeah.
to show up every single time.
Okay, so over 15 hashtags, don't copy and I'm writing this in the chat so that we have record of it. Don't copy and paste.
Can't go over 15.
Yeah, and then they must be aligned with the theme of the photo.
Yes.
Yeah. So I know that they do have image recognition software set up so that if you're doing hashtag Sleeping Bear Dunes, but it's a picture of downtown Detroit or downtown like Austin, they're very much aware that you are just trying to get work in a location that you're not working in. So yeah, that's all really interesting. That's really interesting. Let's move on to.
Can I ask a really quick question?
Hit it.
Okay, sorry. I'm just
No,
wondering.
wait. No apologies. That's what this is.
I'm just wondering, like, let's say in the past I've like copy and pasted and used all the same hashtags, and I like didn't know what I was doing, but I like want my posts to reach more people, so I go back and edit my hashtags. Like I go back and edit the post. Does that, like, let's say I'm using too many, or I'm copying and I'm like getting banned or shadow banned or whatever. If I go back and edit that, does that affect anything, or do I need to delete my post and like repost it? Do you know?
Okay, so I just had a conversation with somebody on Instagram on the Photo Club account, and they were talking about how they are really protective of not editing their posts. And I think this is something, I didn't know this, apparently this is newish, that you shouldn't be editing your posts. You should post it and then don't touch it. That being said, even if that wasn't the case, when you are like the algorithm that is there, I've been writing about the algorithm monster a lot, and I really like this symbolism. The algorithm monster comes for us all in the end. When you're battling the algorithm monster, you post your photo, you post your hashtags with it, you post your caption, you get your first couple likes, you get your first couple comments. All of those parts and pieces play into it, including the timing of it. So as the photo gets older and older, even comments and likes on it become less valuable to them, to the algorithm. So you going back and editing old posts isn't going to help you. People will find them, but they're going to have to dig for them. The only reason your old posts are really even valuable at all is so that somebody can scroll back through your feed once they've found you and they go, dang, look at this, Hannah's been posted forever and look how great her work is. Like that's what those old posts are for. But unfortunately, we've been talking about how fast Instagram is. It's because you constantly need to be putting new content out there, or otherwise people won't see it.
So would it hurt to like go delete a bunch of posts and then repost them? Like
You can archive posts.
So I archive them, yeah. So I've heard that deleting will hurt you, but if you archive them and then you can repost them the way that you want them, that's the better option.
Yeah.
Okay.
Man, you'll notice across the board every single time somebody has any question, the answer is, I've heard. There are no answers. The reality, kind of like the discussion previously of like with I think it was with Alex talking about like don't follow his path to success. Like you should be aggressively curious and aggressively hungry and following your own path. So the answer to all of these is don't listen to what we have to say. The only thing you should take away from this at all is that you should be experimenting and playing, and try posting at midnight, try posting at noon, try posting at 9 a.m. and p.m., try posting 5 posts a day, try posting once a week. Like just see, don't do one a week. That's not enough. Don't listen. That's also bad advice. You should be hungry and you should be shooting enough that you have content that you can experiment with this. If you that I should put a caveat on there and say, if your goal is to grow your Instagram and make a living with this, if you're just in here for fun and you want to play around and be part of the social experience, like that's for sure a valuable thing. But if your goal is to turn this into a career and you think that one of the leverages you have to get yourself there is social media, that's probably true, then you should be experimenting and crafting and building. Agreed? Panel? Cool. Cool. Shona Campbell, if I wanted to get clients in Texas because I'm visiting, do I not hashtag any Texas places? I say hashtag destination, Texas, and then do your own hashtags, I have been told.
So I don't post, I do not hashtag Texas places. I hashtag destination Texas. And then go on.
Now that being said, we can use those destination and Texas as examples, but not specific examples. Destination is such a broad term that you're very unlikely to be discovered using that search. Same with Texas. I mean, right now, if you think, hey, I would love to find a portrait photographer in Michigan, and you're in Holly, right, Shauna?
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking for a photographer in Holly, Michigan. I'm just going to go hashtag Michigan. You're not going to show up. Like your client is not looking that way. But just for discussion, yes, I think that's correct. But evolve it to like Texas photographer, Northern Texas photographer, or whatever that looks like in the area. And this kind of wraps back around towards, if you want to be shooting in Texas, you should take a trip to Texas and set up 10 shoots while you're there, even if they're little micro things, even if it's just walking around with a camera and taking pictures of interesting cacti. Texas has cactus, right? I've been to Texas in a long time. Does Texas have cactus?
I don't know.
Yes, they do.
Okay, good. It's south of me. I assume everybody has cactus in the south of me.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. How much time do you guys spend each day interacting with other people's posts? So not commenting, not responding to people's comments on your posts, but how long do you spend basically like re-engaging with the app?
So for me right now, I only spend a few minutes every day doing that. But when I was like really trying to grow my Instagram account, I spent like an hour every single day looking at other people's posts, commenting on them, commenting on their stories, asking them questions, like just trying to be like a real person, like
Mm-hmm.
instead of posting things like, wow, this photo is amazing, I would like really like dig deep and be like, oh my gosh, I love this picture because of this or this or this.
Mm-hmm.
And then it would start a conversation, and then next thing you know, we would be following each other. And
Yep.
like when people see that you're a real person and you're not just on there like posting things like nice or like wow, happy face. And
Oh
you're
yeah.
actually engaging with people and like trying to form a relationship, it like does huge things. So, but it takes a lot of time. It's very time consuming.
Oh, I agree. I am writing. This is your quote for the day. Be a human.
Yeah.
Yes.
Those are the Andrea's guide to Instagram is just be a human. And I think
Perfect.
you could do worse summing it up, right? Like people want to engage with a human being who is an interesting, creative, who does beautiful things, not a comment bot.
Well, I think that's one thing that Instagram even kind of tracks a little bit is like what you comment. Because I know
Oh, yeah.
like a lot of comments like, because I was in like a comment train thing, you know, a year ago or whatever. And it
Pod.
was like, yeah, you know, when those were popular. And it was like the comments had to be like 4+ words and they had to be about the post. Like it wasn't like, oh, this photo's pretty. You know, you
Yep.
had to keep it more interactive because that's how you get more traction and it's
Mhm.
not as spammy.
Oh yeah, for sure. I know. Yeah, they track the number of photos, or sorry, the number of words. You can't have too many emoji. I've even just, you know, by working hard to build the Instagram for Photo Club, I have had days where it just goes, you've commented too many times. You're done. You're not allowed to comment anymore. And it wasn't even a lot. I think I did it too fast. I was just scrolling through, you know, hashtag Detroit or Grand Rapids or Northern Michigan photographer or whatever, and just interacting, trying to be a human being and like giving honest feedback and honest like praise to good work that I saw. And it wasn't more than like an hour, and Instagram was like, nope, you're out. Too much, which is interesting. You would think they would want you to use their app.
No, if you're on it too long and like comment too much or like too many posts, they, you know, penalize you for it, which is crazy.
Which is all in search. My assumption is it's all in search of weeding out bots. Because I have seen. My background is in like deep geek stuff, and I've, you know, spent parts of my younger days and like I don't want to say seedier parts of the internet, but like, you know, seedier parts of the internet. Nothing gross or weird, but like where hackers hang out basically. And I've seen like black hat forums where people are like, here's how to grow an Instagram from 1 to 100K in 6 days and then sell it for like $500 to some, you know, Russian celebrity or something like that. And so those bots are really, really efficient and really they fancy. They know how to like limit. They know how, like if you hit 49, you stop for 40 minutes or whatever, and then you comment again 40 minutes later. So yeah, we're all being penalized because somebody in Russia created a bot to not be a human.
Right.
Okay.
This is going back to the hashtags, but when I post hashtags, I usually do Michigan wedding photographers because I feel like people that are searching for a photographer are going to type photographers, not photographer.
You're thinking correctly. I've also, have you looked at the actual numbers between the two, photographer and photography? Some of them are like just neck and neck, and if that's your thought process on it, you're probably correct. But some of them are like dramatically different. Well, you'll see like Michigan photography is like 10K, and you'll see like Michigan photographers is like 150K or something like that. So yes, think that way. That's beautiful. You should be doing that sort of like mental math, but also do the due diligence and look up the numbers, because they will tell you something really interesting.
Okay.
Even with that, you can go back and forth, like, you know, so you're not using the same hashtags every day. You can
Oh,
do
good point.
like one post and have it like the photographers, and then go to the photographer, and then kind of see, like, you can kind of look at your analytics that way too and see like which one's performing better. And it also gets you in different hashtags. So if somebody is searching and they type either one, your images are still there.
Yeah, for sure.
And I
Good.
was on a webinar yesterday, and they were talking like speak to one person when you write your caption, because then the person looking at your post feels more engaged with just one person, not like I'm speaking to all my followers.
That's an interesting point. Speak to one person. I like that. Now that being said, that's a good general rule, but you can also intentionally plan posts around like, hello everybody that I love. Here's like you can like broadcast and you can narrowcast. There's definitely options both ways. What do you guys think? Is it worth boosting posts?
No, don't boost your post. It's a waste of money on Instagram or on Facebook. Take the time and do an actual ad on Facebook, and that's where you actually get things.
Cool. I was about to disagree with you until you said that last sentence. Like, there is a valid use of paying money for posts on platforms, but yeah, that boost button is garbage. Were you gonna say something, Andrea?
No, I'm agreeing.
Okay. I'm going to explain it so people understand. So when you boost, it's just kind of like a broad, like throwing things out into the world. But when you do like a Facebook ad, you can target specific people. I mean, Facebook ads, you can target to like where people grocery shop. You can go very, very specific. So then you're getting to where your market is and who's going to actually buy your product versus who is not. Some Joe Blow 50-year-old man does not care about wedding photography, but some 27-year-old, woman who is engaged in looking is gonna, be more likely to look at my website.
Yeah. That button, I really believe, is designed to just take money.
Exactly. It's a way for Facebook and Instagram to make money
It's
on people that are not.
And unfortunately, it's a little bit of a desperation tool too, because people are like, these photos are just not getting out there. People are telling me that Instagram is where I should be putting my work so that I can make some money, and man, I'm just not getting any clients from this. Push that button, throw 5, 10, 20, 100, whatever at it, and just hope. And it just, that's unfortunate.
Yeah, I heard somebody tell me a while ago that let's say your like target market is a restaurant. So boosting your post is like putting up a flyer in the window of this restaurant and just hoping that it catches people's eyes while they're in the restaurant. But doing like a targeted ad is like sending somebody who is like on brand into the restaurant to sit down at the table with the person that you're trying to reach and like start a conversation with them saying, hey, this is, really interesting and you should check this out. So when you boost a post, it's just like a more broad kind of like trying to catch fish in a big pond.
For sure. Yeah. Targeted advertising is really powerful. It is one of the things that I wouldn't be surprised to find in a few years that we have kind of like a backlash against, because people are really sensitive to being targeted right now. And I don't always love seeing ads everywhere I go, but if you can use it and you think that your post is valuable to the people that you're marketing it towards, and you can bring them some value, it's really powerful. Guys, we're at like 1:38 right now, and I want to make sure that everybody is feeling okay. I've got a couple. No, I mean, I guess I've got a couple more questions, but we can call it if everybody's kind of feeling like we've hit a stride. Is everybody gonna keep going? You want to end?
Maybe ask, if anybody has any last minute questions.
Yeah. Let's do that. I'm going to go back to grid mode, open it up. If anybody wants to talk, we can do kind of like last minute or kind of summary stuff or summation. Anybody got anything they want to jump in on?
One of the things professional photographers in Michigan talked about too was the boosting or paying for the ads on Facebook too, like everybody else said. And they said boost is very wasteful.
Useless, yeah. No, I
And
agree.
not to boost, you actually pay for an ad and put it in, and it gets more response, is what they said too.
Yeah.
So spot on with the analogy there.
Cool. So Negley said, I did Google ads for a while and I didn't get anything really from them, but I also had my range from northern Michigan to Kentucky border and Colorado. Yeah, that's a broad category, man. If you I guess the analogy right there is like you're throwing money at this thing, and it's you can either throw like $5 to hit like that one person that you know is in the right spot at the right time, or you could like throw $500 to hit the entire country, and you're not gonna make a dent with that broad
Right.
sweep.
And
I think that
definitely with Google Ads, like I've always seen it as like a, it's your last minute bookings, like especially like if you're going on the wedding side of things, it's
Mhm.
your last minute, like they're getting married in 2-3 months. Those are the kind of like couples and things that you're going to book off of Google Ads. It's not like Facebook ads where you're like kind of generate the leads. It's very much like last minute.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that there is a definite analogy between SEO, social media, and SEO and social media, paid ads on social media, and then what's called SEM, search engine marketing. Search engine optimization is like your social media version, and then your SEM is like paying for social media, but for SEO. And that, again, that could be an entire 2-hour discussion right there. Is SEM could be an entire ad or entire call if we really let it get there. Any other questions, guys? Yeah, Hannah, go ahead.
So Alicia asked a really good question in our like little poll
Chat.
thing.
Oh yeah.
It was how to attract followers, not just likes. Is it necessary to have your Insta really cohesive, or can you experiment with styles and subjects? And I was like, wow, that's a super good question.
Whoa, was that? Oh, I didn't look down in the comments, did I?
Yeah.
Dumb.
Some people
Dumb.
have them as like poll things, and some people just commented.
Oh man. Well, I'm learning. Okay. That's interesting. That's a really good question. Does anybody want to approach that?
That was a really long question.
Yeah, what was the question again? Because it sounded like 3 questions in one.
There's 2 parts. So the first one, how to attract followers and not just likes, which is a good one. And then the other question is it necessary to have your Instagram cohesive, or can you experiment with styles and subjects? So like both of you, like Sydney and Andrea, your feeds are like super beautiful and cohesive, but does it have to be like that, or can you experiment, or does Instagram like punish you? I think is what she's asking.
Well, I don't think my Instagram feed is cohesive at all. That kind of goes back to the whole thing that we were talking about earlier, is that like I don't pre-plan my Instagram or anything like that. I post a little bit of everything from wedding days because that's how I market myself. Unlike, Andrea, who's very like more curated, her work is very curated, which I love, and it works for her, but it doesn't work for me as well. So I think definitely experimenting with, the way you want to market to people, because that's really what Instagram is just, it's a marketing platform for your business. So really just taking that and going, okay, well, I want to showcase my portraits, so I'm going to showcase portraits. Or for me, I want to showcase, like, no matter what the situation at your wedding, I can handle the lighting and it'll be bomb. Like, that's the way that I market myself. So that's the way that I look at it. So it's all about experimenting.
For me, I've talked a lot over the years about consistency, talking about formulating a brand, formulating like a visual identity, a visual aesthetic. But one thing that we're kind of a bit interesting on is that our consistency isn't necessarily in genre. We joke a lot about how, and if anybody saw the coffee post, like we have our new branding just about done, and our new tagline is just essentially good humans. And I've joked for years, I don't care what it is, I'll photograph pretty much anything as long as I get to spend time with like good humans. So consistency doesn't necessarily have to mean that you're always photographing beautiful people on a beautiful windswept moor at golden hour. Like you can cultivate a brand of cohesive chaos, I'll call it, maybe, where I don't think my feed looks nearly as cohesive as Andrea's, but I think that if you're spending time looking through my feed, you will see that there is a cohesion of aesthetic, of intent, and of kind of like, for lack of a better word, like morality, I guess. Like the people that are important to me, the kind of the themes that are important to me kind of bleed through from my portrait work into my wedding work. What's that?
I think mine's about the same as that. Like, that's a good way to put it. Like, you know, my work is cohesive, like the way that I edit, but like the way that, you know, what I post is not necessarily cohesive. It's not the same thing.
Yeah. Go ahead, Shauna.
I was just going to say, I love the diversity in the two Instagrams between Sydney's and Andrea's, but they both work with their personalities. It fits them.
For sure.
And I love the fact that they show up on their Instagram with their personalities.
Yeah, I need to be better about that. My face. I want to put more of my face up there, but I'm bad at it.
It wasn't a slam on you.
Oh, I took it as a slam, but not from you. I took it as a self slam. Andrew, did you want to speak about that one?
Yeah, I just had to write all this down because I'll forget like in about 10 seconds what I was just thinking. I was thinking that a couple years ago, I thought that you can kind of narrow your brand down to like a few words, like 3 to 5 words. If you can like describe what you want your brand to be in those words, then only post pictures on Instagram that fit most of those words, or at least one of those words. Like mine is probably like intimate, nature, and like passionate.
I love that.
So like if you look at my Instagram, it totally, all the pictures go along with that. But your words can be anything. So like if, I don't know, if your pictures are like carefree, fun, happy, you could be posting like weddings, portraits, seniors, you know, and that would just still fit in your brand though.
Mine's utter chaos.
So I've heard that with like words, like to describe your work, and also like different topics that you post about. Like if here's like 5 things that you want your brand to be passionate about, like you know, like coffee and like weddings and cats and whatever. And those are like the 5 things that you post about. So I've heard that too. Similar idea kind of thing.
Kind of.
And then, go ahead, sorry.
Kind of going off that, like, some people name their Instagram Denver elopement photographer. So as soon as somebody searches for those things, like they're the first one to pop up because that's their name on Instagram.
I just changed that. Ours was like elopements, weddings, portraits portraits, weddings for like the last 3 or 4 years. And I was looking through, while doing research, like looking through most of the people that I follow that I like really respect their feed, and most people are moving away from that I've noticed. I want to believe that it has something to do with it was essentially a hack that, you know, whatever the internal SEO of Instagram was doesn't account for that anymore, but I could be wrong. I'll report back if it breaks everything. Yeah, go ahead, Shauna.
I was just gonna also say is when you post a picture, sometimes you have to have more of a storyline with it in order to engage people. I guess I don't know, Sydney and Andrea, if you do that and if it's true or not, but that's what some of the other workshops I've been to or been going to have said.
I think that directly leads into the other half of this question, which was how to cultivate followers, not just likes. And I think if you guys want to speak on this, the answer is essentially engage with people. Don't just, you know, post trendy, cool things and hope people are just going to care about it because everybody can post trendy, cool things. Thoughts?
Do you want to take this one, Andrea, or do you want me to?
I'll start. I kind of talked about before how like if you get on Instagram and start like commenting on other people's photos in a genuine like human way, it, you know, then they're more likely to look at your photos and do the same thing for you. So that's one of the ways that I've gained followers instead of just likes. I kind of mix up my posts between like just posting something really short and then posting long stories now, or like something that's asking a question. And that seems to be working for me. I'm really bad at writing, and I don't want to spend like all my time trying to think of content for my Instagram posts. So I'm trying to make it manageable for me.
Are you seeing a trend between the two options, between short form and long form writing? Are you able to see a kind of A/B tested?
I think that it depends. It just depends on the photo and what I have written with it. Like
Yeah.
it depends. Sometimes I'll post a photo and I'll only post like 2 words with it, and I'll get like all kinds of engagement on it for some reason.
Yeah.
But
It's
I
all
do,
over the place.
yeah, I do think that when I like share a story or talk about something personal, I do get a lot of engagement on that too.
Yeah. But it's hard to write those every single day.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I use the content that's in my blog posts, and I do that.
Smart. Are you one of those people that do you pull those from your couples? Do you make them like fill out a survey or something?
As far as like the content in my blog post, or like what
Yeah, so that's a common strategy I've seen, is that like post wedding day, people will ask their couples to like fill out their kind of like thoughts about their wedding day, tell us your highs, tell us your lows, and they'll use it for something for the couple as well. Like they'll like include it in their like delivery box or something like that. But then they also use that as blog content. They'll kind of source that from the couples.
Yeah, I would say it's like a mix between like my couples, like I don't specifically do that, but also like my own experience of getting married and like just what I'm seeing in the industry. And I'm very candid and open with a lot of my couples, so we talk about a lot of different things. But it's also showcasing what I want future couples to see. Like, so like on Tuesday and Wednesdays, like I didn't do it today because, you know, life happens. We're here, we're doing this. But, you know, Tuesdays I do like a tip Tuesday, and I do like, you know, like 5 reasons to have an engagement session, you know, and you don't have to write a ton. You can just summarize those 5 things from my blog posts. And then like Wednesdays can be a wedding Wednesdays, and I can showcase a venue that I want to shoot at more. So it's really just kind of curating in that sense. And like going back to the whole like actually writing things, and I wrote this in the chat with Brittany, is just the way that I do things is, you know, I just kind of talk, you know, very candidly about, you know, like I've done a few posts lately about everything going on, and that, you know, I'm taking this time to, you know, really work on my business and make a better experience for my couples, because I want new couples to see that. And that's kind of what it boils down to. But I also just kind of like, I'm candid about like, you know, my dog and my cats. What do you mean, Shauna, about how do you separate it?
I've always wanted to put my personal, like make a personal page, and then have my photography page as another one with a link in it. But I don't know how to do that.
So you need to make a separate account, and you can do that in like the settings on the Instagram app. You just go like to the menu at the top, go down to settings, and you scroll all the way to the bottom, and it'll say like log out, add new account. When you add a new account, it'll say create an account. And I can't recommend enough. Well, I don't know. I guess this might be open for debate. Creating a new personal account so that you're not having to kind of build from scratch, and kind of you want to bring those followers along as you have, because they're probably mixed family and clients, family, friends, and clients. But your friends are not going to be upset seeing client work. But then you have to build your client base all the way back from scratch if you kind of just created a new professional account.
Okay.
I have 5 Instagrams if that helps. Like it's totally doable.
Okay. Well, we'll have to talk afterwards.
Yeah, you can do 1, or you can do 2. You can do just 1 additional. You don't have to do 5. It's
Yeah,
not.
the good thing is it's really easy to toggle back and forth between the two once you have one
Yeah.
set up. But
It is.
Yep.
yeah, it's
Good.
really easy.
And even now, I don't know if I've only seen this on some of my accounts, but there's like a toggle now, and it'll show all the accounts you're logged into, and so you can actually, like, if you accidentally, oh yeah, hold on, I'm gonna Negli, do that again. 1 second, put that up. So you go,
Wait,
hold
so
on.
this is my photography page, and then you have your little icon down there, and that just opens up all my accounts, and I can switch right to my personal account just by
Yep.
clicking on it.
Yep, super easy to swap.
Okay. Can you do it on your phone then, or do I have to do it on the computer?
You should do it on your phone.
You can add an account that same exact way.
Okay.
You click right there, it says add account, and you can just follow the steps right there.
Yep.
Okay.
I'm also a lazy person who doesn't have a personal account because my business one was my personal account and I switched it. So now a lot of my personal stuff is all posted in my stories. Like I keep most of my stories to more personal stuff. So it'll be things that I'm doing around the, of the day, like pictures of my cats and my dog, because that for me is also, being the human side of, I'm not a robot. I'm not, just a business. So, I mean, that helps me with my clients as well because it gets them to get to know me. So that's been like really big for me, and like getting people to inquire with me from Instagram is just showing, my personal side on my business page. And then sometimes I'll talk and just kind of like be really candid. I should do that more, but I mean, that's, just getting in front of the camera and just being a normal human being is really helpful.
And see, that's where my issue is too, Sydney, is I show both sides, what we're cooking, or, my cats, and have some chats like that. But I don't know that I want to, I'm having a hard time wanting to separate the two.
Yeah, that was me too.
Jonna, I've noticed that about your account. I've noticed that your handle is like Shauna Campbell, but your name of your account is The Master's Touch, and a client is going to be very confused by that. Like, and especially, I know you do a lot of senior work. Seniors are very savvy. They're very aware of the ins and outs of Instagram, and so they're going to, when they see your handle, they're going to be like, oh, I'm following her personal account. Am I? Is this? So I've thought about that for you before.
I tried to change my name to my professional name.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't let me.
You should just, you can change. Yeah, you can change your handle. There's a way to do it. It's in your settings. I have changed the Photo Club one like 4 times.
Okay, so we'll have to talk afterwards so I can do it correctly.
Yeah, I wrote down. Yeah, there's some guides that need to get produced, and that's probably one of them. It's just like a really simple set of screenshots on like how to make a new account, how to make a separate account, how to rename yourself, and all that kind of things.
That would be great.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I like putting personal stuff on my professional page because it makes me human.
Yeah.
And I mean, people get to know me a lot better, and then when I shoot with them, they're more comfortable.
Mm-hmm. No, that's definitely true. There are limits though. Like, you don't want to overshare personal stuff. You don't want anybody to think that you're just like, that this is just your personal blog that you occasionally throw professional work at. It can make it look like you don't shoot that often, like you're not that busy because you're just filling it up with personal work. I think who said it? I think Sydney said it. Keeping personal work in the story and keeping professional work in the feed is a pretty solid answer. Especially since the story disappears quickly. People are engaged with it, they like it or they don't, and they're moving on, and it's not really impacting your aesthetic moving forward. I would say that your professional feed needs to look tight. It needs to look like the people are knowing what they're getting when they hire you.
Well, for the most part it does, but every once in a while there's my cats and my food.
Yeah, again, I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. For me, like I wrote in the chat that you can go in the other direction. I like sneak my work into my personal account because my clients end up following my personal account, and I just want them to see that even when I'm not doing client work, that this creativity that I offer for sale bleeds into my entire life. So if you're going to post pictures of your food, of your cats, it should be dope. The lighting should be right. It should be shot with your style. You should edit it the way that you would edit your client work. So I do that. Like Milo shows up in my feed all the time, but I edit them right, and I go like I've got a workflow for that account as well.
Well, my dog one definitely did.
All right, guys, more questions before I think we should wrap pretty quickly here, so we don't hit that like 2.5 hour mark.
I'm gonna go. Bye, guys.
Okay. Before you leave, I'm gonna sum up. Do you have a second, Shauna?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yep.
Just some questions to mull over. I have had a couple requests for maybe doing more challenges. I want to kind of evolve the daily challenge on Facebook. Maybe it might just be as simple as like mixing up the captions and opening it up to like previous work, just to allow people to not just have a place to share things that they're doing right now in quarantine, but also honoring the fact that you might not be up for shooting or editing right now. So whether it's just like having some edits up, or just like some old photos from your archive, or experimenting with a new Photoshop technique or something like that. And what is this? Oh yeah, the idea being like, what happens when you've already submitted your challenge for the 2-week period and you're kind of done. I want to keep like people engaged and have more things for them. So we can spend the next 2 minutes talking about that, or if you have thoughts on that, I'm all ears. You know, DM me either at the Photo Club Instagram account, or just find me on Facebook as well. And shameless plug, I'm selling coffee. I don't know if you saw. I'm pretty stoked about it. Coffee is like my favorite thing on the planet. The Populous, we're working with Populous, and they have bags of coffee that have our brand new, not even finished AKP logos on them. And if you are already buying coffee and you want mine instead, that's fine. They have a dope program where we're working with them, and half of the profits go directly to us. So you're kind of indirectly supporting Photo Club at the same time.
Yeah, the logo looks great, Michael.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
It was a series of very hard decisions.
I can only imagine.
It's we went a lot more bold with some of it than I was anticipating, but
the bold works.
Good. Oh yeah, speaking of bold, should I shave my head?
No.
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 I'm tempted.
No.
I'm so long right now, and there was I'm tempted to let Brooke just hack at it.
No.
Michael, I'm getting a mullet right now. Like, I
Okay.
feel your pain.
Okay.
So, Michael, in terms of the
I'm right there with
challenges,
Go ahead, Brittany.
so in terms of the challenges, I've never done any of them, but I was looking for the daily challenges, and I found it kind of hard to find on the Photo Club Facebook page. I did the
interesting.
hashtag. Like I clicked on the hashtag at the top, and I think I had to scroll like all the way down to find your first post, but then you have to click that link to go to your blog post about it. And then at the
Interesting.
very bottom of your blog post, it finally has like the daily challenges. So when I was trying to like look
when you say
for like what the themes were, I was like, oh, that was kind of a process. But
for the dailies, interesting.
yeah,
So when you say page, do you mean the group or like the actual Facebook page?
The group.
Okay. So Facebook's a goddamn mess. And anytime I post anything, it's like I have literally like posted a thing that I'm like, this is the most important thing of the week. Post it, and then it just like is literally swallowed up, and I can't find it. And that's weird because I posted it, and I'm the admin for the group. So I'll need to solve that a little bit. I did have, and I'll put this in the show notes, and I will put this in the chat. So the main Photo Club website, wrong one, is here. and it's .co, not, I did not forget the com. Ourphotoclub.com was $7,000, and this was $7. So from here, if you go to, I'll link these separately, but if you go to the community tab on the top, I put together basically like all of the things that we do into like a separate landing page so that they can be found and they can be organized. Biweekly is a little bit different. That doesn't necessarily have the one that we're working on right now, but it's kind of like an enticing thing to get people into it. So you can always go to these pages and see what we're working on. But you're not wrong. Like it's really hard. And I've noticed if you click on the like Photo Club at Home hashtag, it doesn't even show any of the ones in the group. It doesn't show anybody else's posts that have used it. So Facebook is really screwing up hashtags.
Yeah.
They were never good at it from the beginning, but it's getting worse.
I don't know if you could make like clip it as an announcement or something like that, or if that would
Yeah,
help.
totally. But then what happens is I post, I'll pin it as an announcement, and then the next thing comes up and that bumps it down.
Oh, okay.
It might just be that,
I mean, I found it. It was just a little bit to dig through, and that just could be because I was using Facebook. But
yeah, but
I did find it. So.
For everybody like you that's willing to spend even 30 seconds digging, that means there's probably 20 people who aren't willing, and they're gonna like, oh, that's cool. Oh, it's too much work. I can't find that.
Yeah, because I saw that there were daily challenges, but I was like, I don't know what they are. Like, where are people getting these prompts from? So that was just.
No, that's a good point.
Figure that out.
I'll admit there's a portion of me when I was envisioning Photo Club from the beginning that really wanted to not even do it on Facebook. That wanted to like custom build a site with like a forum built into it or something like that. But that feels very like 2003, and I don't think that people would be as immediately like drawn to that. So if anybody has like a way to leave Facebook, I'm all ears. I just I don't think it's gonna happen. Yeah, go ahead, Shauna.
I was gonna say the reason why I can't change it to my professional name, I just tried to, and it's not available.
Yep. So you just need to find some variation on that, and that's another
tried like 50 of them.
Oh.
Just now.
Well, that must be a really popular name. I'm not going to tell you should rename your business, but yeah, you could do TC at the end of it, or sorry, not up here, Holly or something like that, or seniors, or yeah, you're just going to have to get creative and find some version that is available, unfortunately.
I will try harder.
Okay, guys, I think we should go. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
All right. I won't cut my hair. Fine.
Please don't.
See you guys.
Bye.
Bye.